In a world where sales often prioritize aggressive quotas over genuine client relationships, a shift towards a bold and ethical approach, known as the Human-Centric Sales Standard, offers a path to transformative change in sales culture. This vision aims to reimagine the sales profession by setting standards focused on integrity, empathy, and a commitment to providing genuine value to customers. The striking contrast: self-serving versus customer-centric. The essence of the challenge is straightforward. All you have to do is not behave awfully. In an environment where many salespeople chase numbers with little regard for the customer's long-term welfare, standing out could be as simple as being decent and trustworthy. However, the goal of the Human-Centric Sales Standard is more ambitious than mere decency. It aspires to professionalize the sales role by establishing ethical standards that elevate customer centricity above transactional thinking. This approach rejects the star seller archetype, where success is measured by domination or conquest, instead proposing that salespeople become guides who help customers achieve their desired outcomes. This shift demands a change in individual mindset and a reimagining of managerial expectations. Conventional sales management often sees salespeople as tools for achieving quotas rather than partners in the customer's journey. Salespeople, in turn, feel pressured to act out of fear and scarcity, performing under management that may be more invested in self-promotion than fostering a culture of buyer-centric collaboration. Here lies a striking contrast: the conventional manager's self-serving hierarchical stance versus the ideal of a mentor manager focused on collective success and integrity. Key themes and challenges. Several recurring themes highlight the barriers to embracing this change. 1. Fear, scarcity, and ignorance. Many salespeople revert to outdated tactics, not from malice, but from fear of missing quotas or uncertainty about how to be effective in a buyer-centric model. Although most sellers don't aim to mislead, they often lack awareness of how clients perceive their actions. People often act in ways they wouldn't want others to behave toward them, driven by underlying feelings of fear and scarcity. In high-stakes environments, the fear of job loss, the pressure from demanding managers, and the rigidity of unforgiving company policies can push even the kindest individuals to act out of character. When faced with the threat of financial insecurity or professional failure, these pressures can turn angels into devils, leading them to make choices they might otherwise avoid. This behavior isn't inherently malicious, but rather a reaction to survival instincts activated in stressful situations. Understanding this dynamic can help foster empathy and encourage workplaces to create environments prioritizing psychological safety, reducing the cycle of fear and reactive behavior. 2. Management gaps. Most sales managers must be equipped to lead with the ethics and empathy that the Human-Centric Sales Standard demands. A startling statistic underscores the challenges in sales leadership. 94% of sales managers are deemed unfit for purpose. This reveals a significant gap in the skills, training, and support provided to those in critical management roles. When most sales managers are not effectively equipped to lead, it directly impacts sales teams' performance, morale, and retention. Companies often promote high-performing salespeople into management roles without ensuring they have the necessary skills to inspire, guide, and develop others. This failure in leadership trickles down, discouraging salespeople from building authentic relationships and leaving them with limited support for buyer-centric behavior. 3. Listening over pitching. Another powerful approach to connecting with customers lies in truly inhabiting the buyer's world, rather than fixating on one's agenda. This shift in mindset transforms the sales process from a transactional exchange to a meaningful partnership. Too often, salespeople enter meetings focused on listening for cues that align with their product pitch, rather than immersing themselves in understanding the customer's unique needs, goals, and challenges. This tendency to think transactionally limits the seller's perspective and undermines the opportunity to foster trust and uncover more profound insights. When a salesperson fully embraces the buyer's world, they are better positioned to provide relevant solutions and build a connection that feels authentic and valuable. This approach demands empathy, patience, and curiosity, but the rewards are substantial: longer-lasting relationships, customer loyalty, and solutions that align with the buyer's priorities. 4. Global and economic pressures. Economic conditions and corporate structures undeniably influence and often reinforce poor sales practices. In the face of shareholder demands and competitive pressures, organizations frequently adopt a profit-above-all approach, sometimes at the expense of sustainable long-term strategies that could benefit both customers and employees. As a result, sales teams feel the weight of this short-term focus, perceiving customers not as partners in a journey of shared success, but as mere means to an end, revenue targets that must be hit, often by any means necessary. From a general management perspective, this emphasis on immediate gains can lead to a culture prioritizing transactions over relationships, missing the opportunity to build customer loyalty and lasting value. CEOs, driven by quarterly earnings reports, may inadvertently signal to their teams that growth at any cost is the ultimate goal, disregarding the risks associated with eroding trust and goodwill in the market. Economists recognize that such behavior can create a race-to-the-bottom effect, where companies focus on immediate financial results over innovation, service quality, and employee development. This mindset can stifle the organization's adaptability, as resources are diverted from customer-centered improvements and toward short-term financial engineering. The cumulative effect diminishes customer satisfaction and risks the company's long-term viability, as competitors prioritizing genuine customer value and operational resilience can capture market share over time. Ultimately, a paradigm shift is needed that encourages companies to view customers as collaborative partners and employees as assets to be developed, fostering a culture of sustainable growth. Aligning corporate objectives with customer well-being and employee engagement may require rethinking incentives, redefining metrics, and fostering a culture that values long-term relationship building as a core strategic advantage. This approach is not just ethically sound, it's also economically prudent, as companies that adopt these principles are more resilient, innovative, and capable of thriving amid changing market conditions. 5. Ethical quandaries and accountability. Ethical behavior is more than a noble ideal. It requires accountability. While adding the Human-Centric Sales Care Standard to an email signature might be easy, living by it is far more challenging. Integrity must be reflected in daily actions requiring support, reflection, and reinforcement. Towards a better future, implementing ethical sales practices. Organizations need structural and cultural shifts to embed the Human-Centric Sales Care Standard into the fabric of sales culture. Here are 4 actionable solutions to transform these insights into everyday practices. Empower managers as coaches. Sales managers should be trained as administrators and coaches who model and encourage ethical behavior. Managers can lead by example by demonstrating buyer-centric behaviors, such as active listening and empathy. Companies can invest in management development programs, emphasizing interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, and buyer empathy. 2. Foster a culture of reflection and accountability. A powerful tool to consider is the practice of daily self-reflection questions. Asking questions like, "Who am I, and am I living my values?" can help salespeople align their actions with the Human-Centric Sales Care Standard's ideals. Organizations could adopt this practice, encouraging teams to reflect on their intentions and behavior regularly. Additionally, creating spaces for peer accountability, such as weekly reflections within teams, can reinforce these values. 3. Reframe success metrics. Traditional sales metrics, like quarterly quotas, often fuel self-centered, short-term thinking. Instead, organizations should expand their metrics to include buyer trust, satisfaction, and long-term relationship value indicators. For example, performance could be partly assessed by customer feedback on the salesperson's helpfulness and trustworthiness. Incentives that emphasize ethical practices can drive a shift from a numbers-driven culture to a relationship-driven one. 4. Embed ethical sales training. Conventional sales training often emphasizes techniques to close the deal. Ethical sales training would focus instead on communication skills, emotional intelligence, and understanding customer needs without a hidden agenda. For instance, training can include exercises that teach active listening without self-interest. Practicing buyer-centric behavior, where the salesperson entirely inhabits the buyer's world, should be an ongoing part of development programs. The ideal setting: a collaborative sales culture. In an ideal organization, the values of the Human-Centric Sales Care Standard would resonate at every level. Sales teams would operate within a culture of mutual support, where sharing experiences and challenges with peers becomes the norm. The concept of a human-centric sales care community, where everyone sees customers as people first rather than simple buying centers, could foster a space where salespeople seek guidance and share best practices for ethical, buyer-focused sales. This community could extend beyond the organization, connecting professionals committed to ethical sales across industries. The aim is to create a workforce of buyer-centric guides, not star sellers. By vacating the star role, sellers give space for customers to become stars in their own story, a transformative shift that redefines sales success as the ability to create value for the customer first. Conclusion: sales as a force for good. This simple yet profound truth captures the essence of ethical selling. To sell is to be human. At its core, sales is about connecting with people, understanding their needs, and helping them succeed. The Human-Centric Sales Standard challenges the industry to rise above outdated, self-serving practices and embrace a buyer-centric model rooted in empathy, integrity, and genuine partnership. By fostering a culture of trust, accountability, and continuous learning, organizations can create sales teams that meet their numbers and contribute positively to the lives of their customers and ultimately to society. When sales professionals embody values of decency and buyer centricity, they don't just close deals, they build lasting, impactful relationships. This approach to sales, rooted in integrity, can turn a profession often seen as transactional into a powerful force for good. Transforming sales: insights on integrity, buyer centricity, and organizational change. Transforming sales: insights on integrity, buyer centricity, and organizational change.